season.
Thank you, Commissioner Schulman. I think we will turn to questioning now. We will alternate between sides with 5 minutes being given to every member. Last year, you testified to the committee that enforcement and customer service are not an either-or proposition. Providing quality taxpayer service, especially during the filing season, is important to help taxpayers avoid unintentional errors, inadvertent noncompliance, and reduce other burdensome post-filing interactions with the IRS. So far this filing season, access to live IRS assisters is down to 65%, and taxpayers are waiting an average of 18 minutes to talk with an IRS assister. The rate of taxpayers getting busy signals or that are disconnected from the IRS have roughly doubled. Yet this is not a new problem, but rather seems to be just a bad trend. Since '04, the percentage of answered calls has dropped from 87% to 70% in 2011. Last year, the average wait time was 12 minutes. In '07, it was 5 minutes or less. Personally, I have heard from Kansas CPAs that it's not uncommon to be on hold for 30 minutes. According to GAO, this decline in customer service has occurred despite the number of full-time equivalents dedicated to answering the phones having increased from 8,000 in fiscal year 2007 to 8,800 in 2011, and despite greater use of automated answers and self-service website options. It seems to me that the IRS has placed greater emphasis on enforcement at the expense of service. Yet, as you told us last year, the lack of service for those who have questions will only lead to greater noncompliance than if those questions had been answered. So can you help me better understand a few things? First, what actions are being taken to ensure that taxpayers are able to reach a live IRS assister? Secondly, given your belief that the IRS must deliver both enforcement and customer service, do you think that this budget request focuses too much on enforcement while sacrificing customer service? And then finally, does the IRS consider this to be an acceptable level of service?
No, thanks for bringing up, a set of important issues. First, let me repeat what I told you last year and what I talk about a lot with our employees and members of Congress and everyone involved in the tax system, which is that it is not an either-or proposition. We need to run service operations and compliance operations to make the nation's tax system work. Let me put in context the resources that we have this year to put towards both enforcement and customer service. We had a $300 million budget cut, which was $1.2 billion less than the President had requested for service and enforcement last year. We also had to absorb for rent and other kinds of increase about $200 million of inflation, and $66 million was put into our technology accounts, which we're very appreciative of. So if you take 300, 200, 66, we had a $566 million reduction in our core services and enforcement accounts. And what we're trying to do is do the best we can with the resources we were given. Last year, our phone level of service was about 70%. This year, it's running at about 66%, even though we had predicted about 61%. And the reason for that is we've really squeezed efficiency. We've routed calls. More people are using automated answering systems, and people are using our website. As you said, the wait is longer, because at a certain point we can squeeze as many efficiencies out of technology and other efficiencies as we can, but it comes to how many people do we have answering phones. Volume is up. So the numbers you gave that said we have more people, we also have much more volume. We have more taxpayers. We have a more complicated tax code right now. Another number that's interesting to look at is how many people hang up in the first couple of minutes, because we've added a feature that tells them how long it'll wait. And we say if you want to either use the web, use our automated phone, or call back when there's less time, then our phone level of service this year is 77%. if you look at how many, if you take away the people who hung up in the first couple of minutes. And so I guess my view of this is we've taken a whole bunch of actions. At a certain point, we need money to invest because you need people to answer phones for live service. That I'm pretty proud that while service is down, it hasn't degraded, to a point where it could have gone given the cuts. And the answer to your last question, which is, do we think it's acceptable? I want everyone who contacts the IRS to get what they need from the IRS. This year, everyone's not getting what they need from the IRS, but I think we're doing a pretty good job given the resources we were given.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I'm just looking at data, and the budget cuts compared to the level of service aren't always, they don't always follow, given this information from the GAO. So we just encourage you to continue to work on that, and we'd be delighted to work with you any way we can. And with that, I would recognize Mr. Lewis for 5 minutes.